This is CBC Vancouver News.
Searching for justice a year after their daughter was killed in Coquitlam.
Since she's gone, I have no purpose anymore for my life. I'm sorry.
A family's agonizing wait.
How are we supposed to feed the clients for the allotment that I get?
Home care providers plead for more help as they care for adults with disabilities, while others leave the profession. And more news from Nanaimo. CBC British Columbia opens a new bureau on the island. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Ghoussoub. Dan is away tonight. Homeshare providers in BC who house and support adults with disabilities are crying out for help, stretched to their financial limits. As the cost of living continues to climb, they're having to pay out of pocket to support their clients. As Joel Ballard reports, rising costs are forcing some providers to quit the industry altogether.
Lisa Garner spends most of the day on the go, supporting her homestay client, cooking, cleaning, helping him get changed and groomed.
I am solely responsible for the individual 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Homeshare Providers funding is broken down into two streams: compensation from Community Living BC that varies based on the individual's level of disability support, and a room and board contribution of $716 from the client's monthly benefits. According to a ministry document, $375 of that is supposed to cover shelter, leaving $341 to cover the rest, including food. That's about $11 a day.
How are we supposed to feed the clients for the allotment that I get?
The individual contribution rate hasn't increased in more than a decade, despite the rising cost of living. Ultimately, Garner says she has to cover the extra costs out of her own pocket, and her experience isn't unique.
When inflation started to go up, it's sort of almost the last straw that people were at the end of their ropes, and now they're finding it just difficult to make ends meet.
She says it's pushing many out of the home sharing industry, a difficult decision to make.
It's not a job. I mean, it's already gone so far past a job that the person becomes part of your household, right? Your family.
The BC Homeshare Providers Association is calling for an increase to room and board contribution rates, as well as an increase to disability supports.
People on PWD do not get enough money. They live in poverty, and their caregivers and their families are trying to lift them out of poverty, and it's coming out of their pocket.
Her pleas echoed by the BC Liberal critic.
These, in many cases, are the most vulnerable people that are being cared for. We need to be making sure that the people that are caring for these people are also cared for.
The province declined an interview, but noted that in 2019 and 2020, there were increases to homeshare providers' compensation rates, and added that room and board costs are being reviewed. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Surrey.
Changes are coming to how healthcare will be delivered on northern Vancouver Island in an attempt to improve the currently unreliable service levels. The province is temporarily suspending overnight emergency department services in Port Hardy and on Cormorant Island, while the ER in Port McNeill will run full-time. There will be daily shuttle services for patients and staff. It will run between Port Hardy and Port McNeill, as well as Campbell River and the Comox Valley. Island Health is looking to expand mobile diagnostic services as well, but at least one doctor says this doesn't address the long-term staffing issue.
You know, the picture in terms of medical staff capacity is this is ordering a CT scanner and otherwise it's kind of like buying airplanes without hiring pilots, right? You still need doctors, you need physician assistants, you need nurse practitioners who are going to be ordering these tests. And as it stands, as of July 1st, I may be the only doctor working here in Emerge.
Dr. Notaro says there is a physician's assistant ready to start working at his hospital, but they're still waiting for the green light from the province. A warning, this next story contains details that are distressing. A psychiatrist who treated Constable Nicole Chan the night before her death took the stand at a coroner's inquest today. Chan ended her own life after reporting inappropriate relationships with two senior officers with the Vancouver Police Department. Our Yasmin Gandam has been following the inquest.
Psychiatrist Dr. Kiran Sayaparaju testified that he saw Chan at 11:30 on the evening of January 26, 2019. He released her from Vancouver General Hospital the night before she took her own life. He said he has no recollection of speaking to police about Chan. That evidence contradicts earlier testimony by Vancouver Police Constable Warren Head. Head testified on Thursday that he spoke directly to the doctor who discharged Chan, urging him to admit her. Dr. Sayaparaju told Coroner's Court that based on information he gathered in his assessment meeting with Chan, she did not meet the criteria for certification for involuntary care. He said she did not show any acute mood symptoms at that point, and she denied having any suicidal intentions or plans. She was apprehended by police under the Mental Health Act and taken to VGH. Dr. Sayaparaju said the VPD's apprehension of Chan was traumatic for her because of her history with the force and because she was known to be triggered by police. He said there was a risk that certifying her under the Mental Health Act would only make things worse. Evidence presented throughout the week has painted the picture of a psychologically vulnerable person who suffered from mental illness, made worse by the alleged sexual coercion of two supervising Vancouver police officers. The coroner's inquest is set to wrap up on Tuesday. Yasmin Gandam, CBC News, Vancouver.
And if you or someone you know needs mental health support or is having thoughts of self-harm, you can get help 24/7 at the number on your screen, 1-800-784-2433. Again, that is 1-800-784-2433. The Maple Ridge family is desperately looking for answers exactly 1 year after their daughter was stabbed to death near her office. Her parents claim police have kept them in the dark. As Yasmin Rania has more on the family's grief and push for justice.
Is Romina's favorite tea?
Yes, she loved it.
Reminders of Romina Shirazi are everywhere. The 32-year-old was killed 1 year ago.
There is no happiness in our life anymore. Since she's gone, I have no purpose anymore for my life. I'm sorry.
Shirazi was stabbed in a Coquitlam parkade on a Thursday afternoon near the office where she worked as a real estate agent. She later died in hospital. At the time, police said her killing appeared to be an isolated incident. Shirazi left behind 3 young children.
She was such a good girl, good mother, good daughter, full of energy, full of happiness. She loved life.
Her family says police have given them few answers over the past 12 months.
I always contact them. Every week I call them. If I have any hint, I call them. If somebody says something that might be important for them, I call them.
Police say the investigation is active and ongoing, but no one has been charged and no further updates are coming at this time. The Integrated Homicide Investigation Team says our investigators continue to work hard to bring justice for Romina's family and to ensure that those who are responsible for this tragedy are held accountable. Her family hopes justice is served to begin healing.
After that, we can have our closure, which we don't have until now. That's justice, is that at least we don't want that happen to anybody else.
They're urging anyone who knows anything about her death to contact police. And while Romina is gone, her family continues to celebrate her birthday to keep her fun-loving spirit alive.
All the family and friends to make a party for her.
Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Maple Ridge.
The BC government's request for more information before it decides who will police Surrey has rankled business leaders after an already lengthy process.
There's been too much money and time spent. We need to focus on what is needed in terms of innovation, city building, arts and culture, types of investments.
The absence of a decision from Victoria means the state of law enforcement in Surrey will stay the same for now, with Mounties and Surrey Police Service officers on the beat. It is leading to frustration for people who say that the debate around policing is preventing real change from happening.
I talked to Surrey Police members, and I saw their programs they want to implement in a city. So they are getting delayed, not the police transition or something. The programs they want to bring in the community to stop the overdose, stop the drugs, stop the gangs, they are getting delayed. I'm worried about that.
Farnworth has asked for more information, including RCMP officer statistics and the Surrey Police Service's implementation strategies. Well, Vancouver will host the Men's World Cup Games in 2026, and to prepare, the province will allow a temporary increase in accommodation taxes to help with costs.
No, the industry recognizes how beneficial this event will be for them, and so they were willing to go ahead with this because they recognize that funding is going to come right back, pay for the event, so it'll work in the long run.
As of February 1st, the City of Vancouver will implement a major events municipal and regional district tax rate of 2.5% that will last up to 7 years. This means that overnight visitors to Vancouver will see an extra $2.50 on every $100 spent, and the money will help pay for World Cup expenses. Well, BC's battered forestry sector is taking another hit this week, this time on Vancouver Island. Western Forest Products says it will not restart its sawmill in Port Alberni, leaving more than 100 workers without jobs. That facility had been closed since last fall, but it was only supposed to be a temporary measure. Western Forest Products says the mill will not restart in its current form. These layoffs follow announcements from Canfor that it will be closing or curtailing 3 facilities, which could affect as many as 800 jobs. Well, it's an exciting day for us here at CBC British Columbia. Today, we officially launched our new bureau in the Harbour City. Several of our current affairs shows broadcast live from Nanaimo today, including On the Island with host Gregor Craigie, who was also joined by Michelle Elliott of BC Today. All of this to introduce our new video journalist, Claire Palmer, who's been busy connecting with people in her new community.
I'm Claire Palmer. I'm CBC's new video journalist based in Nanaimo. I've just moved from Golden, BC, and I've had a blast getting to know the community. Video producer Mike Zimmer and I spent the last couple days driving around Nanaimo, speaking with locals, learning about the community, and learning all about the history.
Good?
Yeah, let's go meet the mayor. So as someone who's new to Nanaimo, what do I need to know about the community here?
You need to know it's proud of its history. It's a beautiful spot. It's a sports town, it's an active community, and it's a diverse community. We are one of the 5 fastest growing regions in the country, and that has implications for housing costs. More than half the population of Vancouver Island lives north of the Malahat now. And Nanaimo is the gateway, the hub, the center. Anyway, you're going to love it. I mean, you know, look, what's not to love?
So where are we off to next?
We're headed to the Nanaimo Museum, just to learn a bit about Nanaimo's interesting history.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Claire, CBC.
I'm Sophia. I'm the manager of the Nanaimo Museum.
Perfect. I'm really excited to learn a bit about Nanaimo's history. Why don't you show me around?
Awesome. Well, welcome. Let's go. So first of all, we need to acknowledge that the Nanaimo Museum is situated on the territory of the Nanaimo First Nation. We work closely with Nanaimo First Nation on our exhibits and the items and stories that we tell. This exhibit here is one of my favorites, and it shows what life was like inside a longhouse. This spot here is very significant. Downtown Nanaimo was the site of a very significant village.
So bathtub racing is something I've heard a lot about since I've moved to Nanaimo.
Yes, Nanaimo is very well known for the famous bathtub races. And the original bathtub races were fun and silly, but over the years it has evolved into a really intricate and well-attended sport. So no visit to the Nanaimo Museum would be complete without discussing the world-famous, legendary Nanaimo Bar.
Been looking forward to this part.
Right. So the Nanaimo Bar is a legend. There are many debates around the appropriate custard to base ratio. We actually have here the ultimate Nanaimo Bar recipe. So this recipe was submitted by Joyce Hardcastle in Expo 86 to a competition, and this was the winning recipe. And I have to say, it is absolutely delicious.
And where's your favorite place to get a Nanaimo Bar?
My favorite place to get a Nanaimo Bar is right next door at Serious Coffee. It's attached to the museum, and they do a mean Nanaimo Bar.
Now where are we going?
Let's head to Departure Beach Bay and talk to some locals.
Okay.
I'm new to Nanaimo. What would be your top tips for somebody who's new? What advice would you give?
Well, the waterfront is beautiful.
Nanaimo is a great community.
We're pretty friendly all in all. Everybody cares for each other.
Yeah, people are very friendly here. We love the place.
It's been great getting to meet the locals and residents. It's clear this is a really special community to many. I've had a blast exploring the area, and I can't wait to continue to highlight Nanaimo on CBC. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo. Was that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Awesome.
Coming up, a look at the CBC series Planet Wonder and how the weather can affect the outcome of war. That story is next. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. Well, it's a busy time at a massive snow maze south of Winnipeg. It was recognized as the largest one on the planet by the Guinness Book of World Records in 2019. Fiona Odlum recently caught up with the maze's owner and operator.
St. Adolphe, Manitoba is home to the world's largest snow maze. And this year, it's getting bigger. Angie Moss, this place is just exploding with activity right now. Tell me what's going on here at the snow maze at Amazing Corn.
Oh yes, it is very busy. Actually, you may not be able to see them at the moment, but there are carvers in pretty much every building. They're creating the snow bar over there. The snowmaker is going. The piston bully is pushing snow around to make snow mountains. So there's just so much to create, but unfortunately it takes so long to create it.
So now what challenges have you encountered this year with the weather and making the snow maze?
Oh yeah, as always, you know, whenever you deal with Mother Nature, you're at the beck and call of the weather. It started out too warm and then it got too cold. And of course, with all the snow, everybody thinks that's helpful. But we do make all of our own snow with the snow makers over there.
Is there an ideal temperature for making a snow maze?
Well, there's the ideal temperature for the workers who really love this temperature. Is very nice to be outside, as opposed to last year when it was like minus 30 and we were frozen. But the only problem is anything warmer, like for example this weekend, we probably won't work because it's too warm and then all the tractors sink. So, and then it also doesn't make nice snow. It makes it very yellowy and wet, obviously.
So from beginning to end, how long does it take?
A long time, yes, very different than the corn maze. I would say for sure for the maze part, about a month. But then of course we add all the buildings and the sculptures, and these people are so creative in terms of what they create. And then of course we keep adding more and more.
How big is it going to be this year?
It's always a little bigger, just in case someone's out there to challenge us. So we still hold the record. I think that was back in 2019. This is our 5th snow maze season, and so we've only gone for the title that 1 year, and I haven't heard of anybody breaking it, so we're still the record holders. But needless to say, we always have it in our back pocket that hopefully we're still always the largest.
Okay, before I let you go, tell me about this thing hiding behind me. What is that?
Yeah, if you are looking for a new place to live, this last year it was a church, which was so beautiful, and this year it's a little hobbit house, and it's so cute, and hence the little rounded door, and you go in, it has all kinds of things in there. I don't want to give it away because you have to come and see it in person.
Fantastic. Well, Angie, I can't wait to get lost in the maze. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Tonight we're highlighting the CBC Explore series Planet Wonder, hosted by our own Johanna Wagstaffe. The series asks unexpected climate questions and takes you on a journey to find the answers. For instance, there was a time when wars were won and lost because of the weather. The most notable example, the Allied invasion of Normandy during the Second World War. Have a look.
Loading begins June 1st, 1944. 3,000 ships are about to cross the English Channel, carrying 2,000 smaller landing craft.
The accuracy of weather forecasts is crucial, especially when lives hang in the balance, as they did during World War II. In the spring of 1944, as the Allies prepared for the invasion of Europe, a key component of the decision-making process was the weather, and more importantly, the accuracy of the forecasting of the weather. The invasion was to involve airborne troops landing by parachute or glider at night, bomber aircraft needing visual views of the ground for pinpoint bombing of key targets, and ships to transport troops across the sea and land them on beaches, and the timing of tides to address the beach defenses. All of these components were dependent on the weather and the go, no-go decision of the weather forecasts. Weather data collection was in its infancy. No satellites, no ocean buoys, no specialized aircraft, and no computers, as we know them today anyway. They had some ship observations and some land-based observers and historical charts. What they definitely didn't have was agreement. Two camps of meteorologists. The first saying use historical patterns and weather cycles to support current station reporting and go ahead with the invasion June 5th, 1944 as planned. The second arguing it was better to delay, to wait until June 6th when a better window of weather opportunity would open up. The generals listened to the second group, and the Normandy landing was delayed until June 6, 1944, when a small high-pressure system opened up after a storm.
This event is now known as the most significant weather forecast in history. Years later, during a ride to the Capitol for his inauguration, President-elect John F. Kennedy asked President Eisenhower why the Normandy invasion had succeeded. Eisenhower's fitting response, because we had better meteorologists than the Germans.
Here's a live shot of Georgia Street. Johanna will have your full forecast next.
Little Sisters, a gay and lesbian bookstore with a history of conflict, violence, and disappointments, but rarely triumph. Today, though, there is some talk of celebration.
And it is a joyous day for us, and we will continue.
On the store's crowded steps this afternoon, its manager sang the praises of a BC Supreme Court decision that technically ruled against the store. It was a ruling by Mr. Justice Smith on a constitutional challenge the store levied against Canada Customs. Since 1986, hundreds of books and magazines headed for the store have been seized at the border, ruled obscene by customs officials. Each step of the way, the store has cried foul, and many have jumped to its defense. Mainstream stores like Duthie's have ordered and received the same books without any problems. And then came this high-profile constitutional case, enlisting support from authors across the country, including Pierre Burton.
It's an outrageous trial. It's a harassment. It's a case of harassment by the government against a small bookstore, which the government doesn't like.
But after 40 trial days, Justice Smith ruled that Canada Customs officials are within their legal rights to seize the publications. Yet in page after page of his judgment, he talks of systemic deficiencies, saying there were inconsistent decisions on some of the seizures, some that were the result of mere human error, others that are the arbitrary and improper consequence of an inadequate and flawed administration of the legislation.
We feel good about that to realize that the courts are beginning to deal with our issues in a sensitive way.
They may be claiming a moral victory, but this was not a legal win for Little Sisters. So with judgment in hand, they are making preparations to do what they've become accustomed to, launch yet another appeal. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Vancouver.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Celebrate the city's most impactful leaders with Anita Bath at the annual Vancouver Magazine Power 50 Awards. Join the fun February 2nd at the Terminal City Club. Learn more and get tickets at vanmag.com. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
And Senior Meteorologist Johanna Wagstaffe joins us now for a look at the forecast. Joe, pretty mild Friday that we had today, but is that going to stick around this weekend?
Definitely not. And I think that's why this cool down will feel so shocking, maybe not breaking records, but yeah, we hit 10 degrees on parts of the south coast today. Nanaimo hitting that 10-degree mark. Vancouver, we were up around 7 or 8. So above our seasonal by a couple of degrees. And now we're going to dip below our seasonal by a few degrees. Let me show you the Arctic with special weather statement in place. For temperatures generally 5 to 20 degrees below seasonal for this time of the year, really through this weekend. So we're already seeing that Arctic front through the eastern half of BC, getting down to the south coast for tomorrow night. And that's why we'll see temperatures drop to sort of 3 tomorrow morning, our regular seasonal, back up to 6. It's still a decently mild Saturday. It's Saturday night that will feel that chill. Taking you through the overnight, that's just a quick shot of showers that might show up tomorrow morning. Not all the models are putting it in, but just a heads up, early Saturday morning, that's tomorrow morning, we might get a few rounds of showers before a nice clear out. So most of Saturday is looking sunny, and Sunday is looking sunny too, even though it will be cold, because as this Arctic front tracks southward, it's bringing that snow tonight to the Kootenays, a snowfall warning in place for Kimberley for 20 centimeters. But it loses all of its moisture by the time it gets to us tomorrow night. So cold, but clear. And just for a few days, I'm going to keep this running through Sunday, Monday. Start to notice what moves in on the northern half of the province Monday night. So that's the next system that will likely push out the Arctic air for midweek. And by the time it gets down to us, it will likely bring a good round of snow, changing over to rain. You can see that showing up on the Wednesday forecast. So we'll keep an eye on just how much. I do think we'll see some accumulations quickly, though, melting as we head into those warm temperatures. But there it is, Michelle, the Saturday night, Monday night special where it will be cold, but it's not long lasting.
Okay, good reminder to bundle up this weekend if you're
Yes,
heading out.
layers.
All right, thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
And that is your late news for Friday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For news anytime, visit our website. That's cbc.ca/BC. Your next local newscast is on Radio 1 tomorrow morning at 6:30. Good night.